The air is crisp, leaves are falling, and somewhere a dog barks at the encroaching darkness. Halloween, a night for fun, for games, for costumes and candy. But beneath the surface, behind the masks, something darker lurks, something ancient, something hungry for more than just sweets. Tonight we delve into the shadows. Tonight we confront the stories that keep you awake long after the trick-or-treaters have gone home. These are true tales of terror, stories that will chill you to the bone. Are you brave enough to continue? Imagine, if you will, a typical Halloween night. The suburbs, quiet, decorated for the season. The scent of pumpkin spice and wood smoke hangs heavy in the air. Inside a modest 2-story house, a group of friends gather, costumes donned, laughter echoing as they share stories and sip on spiced cider. The mood is light, carefree, unaware. But outside, a change is coming. A thick fog rolls in, blanketing the neighborhood in an unnatural silence. The laughter inside begins to feel strained, the once comforting decorations now casting unsettling shadows. The doorbell rings, a simple everyday sound, but tonight it carries with it a chilling dread. On the other side of the door waits a figure, shrouded in fog and shadow, an unexpected visitor. One of the friends, dressed as a vampire, laughs and strides towards the door. "Trick or treat!" he yells playfully, throwing the door open wide. But the smile fades from his face. Standing on the porch is not a child in costume, not a neighbor seeking candy. It's a figure, tall and gaunt, its face obscured by the darkness of the hood pulled low. The figure takes a step forward, its presence radiating an unnatural cold. The friend stumbles back, fear gripping his throat. The laughter inside the house dies abruptly. I think we're all out of candy," the friend stammers, his voice trembling. But the figure doesn't move. It just stands there, its presence growing more menacing by the second. Local legend whispered of Blackwood Manor, a crumbling Victorian mansion perched high on a hill overlooking the town. It was said to be haunted, cursed by the spirits of its former residents who met untimely ends. Naturally, it became a rite of passage for teenagers to dare each other to spend Halloween night within its decaying walls. Most scoffed at the stories, dismissing them as childish tales meant to frighten. But not this group. Armed with flashlights and youthful bravado, they approached the iron gates, their breath misting in the cold night air. The gates creaked open as if inviting them in, a symphony of rust and decay. They stepped onto the grounds, each step crunching on fallen leaves and what felt like years of neglect. A palpable chill settled over them, a stark contrast to the excitement that had fueled their bravado just moments before. The front door groaned open, revealing a cavernous foyer frozen in time. Cobwebs draped the furniture like macabre shrouds, and dust lay thick on the floor. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of decay and something else, something undefinable. As they ventured deeper into the mansion, their flashlights cutting through the oppressive darkness, they began to hear whispers, faint at first, like the rustling of leaves, but growing steadily louder. They stopped at the foot of a grand staircase, its once elegant banister now splintered and broken. The whispers seemed to be coming from above, echoing down the stairwell. A cold draft snaked down, carrying with it the distinct feeling of being watched. One of the teenagers, a girl with wide, frightened eyes, swore she saw a figure at the top of the stairs, a fleeting glimpse of a woman in a white gown, her face obscured by shadow. But when they shone their lights, there was nothing there. Or was there? Halloween. A night for costumes, for candy, for pretending to be something we're not. But some costumes, some masks, they hold a darkness that's more than make-believe. This is the story of one such costume, a vintage find, a steal at a dusty antique store. But some bargains, well, let's just say they come with a hefty price tag. Our story takes us back to 1988, to a small town buzzing with Halloween excitement. Sarah, a high school senior, was determined to win the costume contest. And then she saw it, hanging in the back corner, a shimmering gown from a bygone era. It called to her, whispered promises of victory, whispered of a beauty she'd never known. The shopkeeper, a wizened old man with eyes like cracked marbles, warned her, "Be careful, child," he rasped. "Some things are best left untouched." But Sarah, blinded by the allure of the gown, brushed off his words as mere theatrics. She was young, invincible, or so she thought. That night, as she slipped into the gown, she felt a chill, a prickle of unease. But it was Halloween. And fear? Well, fear was just part of the fun, wasn't it? As Sarah entered the crowded school gymnasium, the room fell silent. Her transformation was startling, breathtaking. The gown, once dull and dusty, shimmered under the disco ball, radiating an ethereal glow. She was no longer Sarah, the shy girl with a head full of dreams. She was a vision, a queen, a creature of the night. But as the night wore on, the compliments turned to whispers. People around her started feeling uneasy, a creeping sense of dread settling over the once jovial atmosphere. Laughter died down, replaced by a heavy silence punctuated by Sarah's increasingly erratic behavior. The life of the party had become a spectacle, a source of fear. Her reflection in the bathroom mirror was no longer her own. The girl staring back was a stranger, her eyes cold and calculating, a cruel smile playing on her lips. Panic welled up inside her, a desperate need to break free from the suffocating embrace of the gown. It was then she realized the terrifying truth. The gown had chosen her, and it wasn't about to let go so easily. Every town has its secrets, whispers from the past that linger in the shadows. Legends passed down through generations, stories told around campfires to induce shivers of fear. This is one such tale, a local legend from the quaint town of Hollow Creek, where the line between fact and folklore blurs on Halloween night. They say that on the eve of All Hallows' Eve, when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest, a ghostly figure walks the streets of Hollow Creek. A figure cloaked in a long, dark coat, its face obscured by the shadows of a wide-brimmed hat. No one knows who it is, or what it seeks, but whispers of its presence have haunted the town for decades. Some dismiss it as a silly ghost story, a way to keep the children from misbehaving. But others, those who have lived in Hollow Creek long enough, know better than to tempt fate. They remember the stories their grandparents told, tales of sudden chills, of disembodied whispers carried on the wind, and of a fleeting glimpse of the figure, always watching, always waiting. This year, the legend of the ghostly figure took on a chilling new dimension. A group of teenagers, emboldened by youthful bravado and a healthy dose of Halloween spirit, decided to tempt fate. They gathered on the outskirts of town, near the old cemetery where the whispers were said to be the loudest. Armed with flashlights and a camera, they ventured into the night, eager to debunk the myth and capture proof of their bravery. As the clock struck midnight, a bone-chilling wind swept through the cemetery, extinguishing their flashlights and plunging them into darkness. Fear, thick and suffocating, descended upon them. And then they saw it. A figure, tall and imposing, emerged from the shadows, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. Panic surged through the group. They stumbled back, their hearts pounding in their chests, as the figure glided towards them. One by one, they fled into the night, their laughter replaced with terrified screams. The legend of the ghostly figure was no longer a story, but a terrifying reality, a haunting reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed. Halloween night. The air crackled with excitement, the streets a kaleidoscope of costumes. kids darted from house to house, their bags overflowing with candy. But for a group of friends in Maplewood, the night held a surprise. A chilling encounter transformed their adventure into a nightmarish memory. They ventured beyond their usual route, crossing Elm Street. The houses on Oakwood Drive were larger, but something felt off. An unsettling stillness hung in the air. No other trick-or-treaters were in sight. The only sound was the rustling of leaves. A wave of unease washed over the group. Undeterred, they approached the house, their leader, Michael, ringing the doorbell. They waited, anticipation turning to unease. Still no answer. Michael rang the bell again, holding it down longer. Finally, the door creaked open, revealing a darkened entryway. "Trick or treat," Michael called out. Only silence answered him. They peered into the darkness. The house seemed empty. One by one, the kids backed away, whispering in fear. Even Michael felt a shiver. Something wasn't right. They hurried away, their excitement replaced by unease. Each house they passed seemed dark and abandoned. The neighborhood felt empty, sending chills down their spines. Halloween, a night for ghouls, goblins, and good-natured scares. But sometimes, the line between harmless fun and real horror blurs, leaving behind a bloodstain on an otherwise festive night. This is one such story. Our tale takes us to a quiet suburban street, where a group of teenagers, fueled by teenage bravado and cheap thrills, decided to take their Halloween pranks a step further. They called it the ultimate scare, a prank so terrifying, so realistic, it would be talked about for years to come. Their target? Old Man Hemlock, a recluse who lived at the edge of the street, feared and whispered about by the neighborhood kids. A perfect recipe for disaster, some might say. But teenagers, blinded by their invincibility, rarely see the warning signs. The plan was simple. Get Hemlock out of his house. Make him believe a real threat lurked in the shadows. They were just teenagers, they thought. What could possibly go wrong? As the witching hour approached, the teenagers, cloaked in darkness and false confidence, set their plan in motion. One of them, masked and cloaked, crept towards Hemlock's porch, a blood-curdling scream echoing in the night. The porch light flickered on, casting long, dancing shadows on the lawn. Old Man Hemlock, his face etched with confusion and fear, peered out into the darkness. He saw a figure, a silhouette, something out of his worst nightmares. Panic gripped him. His heart pounded against his ribs. What the teenagers didn't know was that Old Man Hemlock had a heart condition, a ticking time bomb that they were about to detonate with their cruel prank. As Hemlock stumbled back, clutching his chest, the reality of their actions hit the teenagers like a ton of bricks. Their laughter died in their throats, replaced by a chilling silence. The figure on the porch was no longer a prankster, but a grim reaper, a harbinger of their guilt and fear. The line between harmless fun and real horror had been crossed, and they were about to face the consequences. The air was crisp, the leaves turning shades of crimson and gold. A perfect autumn day. Families flocked to Johnson's pumpkin patch, eager to pick out their prize gourds for Halloween. Laughter echoed through the rows of pumpkins, but a sense of unease lingered in the air. It started subtly, a child wandering off, a parent losing sight of their group for a moment. Then, the disappearances became more frequent, more unsettling. A group of teenagers ventured into the corn maze, never to be seen again. A young couple, hand in hand, swallowed whole by the rows of pumpkins. The once vibrant patch now seemed to pulsate with a chilling darkness. Whispers of a malevolent scarecrow began to circulate. Its eyes glowed with an infernal light, its grin widening with each vanishing soul. Panic set in, the festive atmosphere replaced by dread. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, ominous shadows. The laughter was gone, replaced by silence and the rustle of leaves. They say the corn maze at Johnson's was designed by a farmer who'd lost his mind, a labyrinth of twists and turns that mirrored his fractured psyche. Some say he'd built it to trap souls, to appease an ancient evil beneath the soil. Lost and disoriented, visitors stumbled through the maze, the stalks towering above them like spectral sentinels. The air grew heavy with the stench of rotting pumpkins. They called out for help, their voices swallowed by the rustling leaves. As darkness descended, the scarecrow emerged, a specter of straw and malice, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. It moved with an unnatural speed, its raggedy clothes billowing like wings of darkness. The scent of decay intensified, a suffocating aroma that spoke of things best left buried. One by one, the visitors disappeared, their screams muffled by the thick corn stalks, their pleas for mercy swallowed by the night. The lucky ones, driven mad by fear, stumbled out of the maze, their clothes torn, their eyes wide with a terror they couldn't articulate. The unlucky ones? Their fate remained a mystery, lost within the twisting paths of the sinister pumpkin patch. Halloween night. A time of revelry, of costumes and candy, but also a time when the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest. The air crackles with a strange energy, a palpable hum that speaks of unseen forces at play. It's on this night, more than any other, that the dead find their voice. They whisper from the shadows, their voices faint and ethereal, like the rustling of dry leaves. They tug at the edges of our perception. Their presence felt rather than seen, a chill down the spine, an unsettling feeling that you're not alone. They seek to communicate, to bridge the chasm of death with whispers of warning, of longing, of regret. Some say they envy the living, their laughter and warmth, their connection to the world of flesh and bone. Others believe they seek to warn us of dangers unseen, of shadows lurking just beyond our perception. Whatever their purpose, their presence is undeniable on this night. Their whispers a chilling reminder of the unseen world that surrounds us. As the witching hour approaches, the whispers grow louder, more insistent. They beckon us closer, tempting us to cross over, to join them in their spectral realm. But be warned, for the whispers of the dead are a siren song, alluring and perilous in equal measure. In a dimly lit room, a group of friends gathered around a Ouija board, their fingers resting lightly on the planchette. Driven by curiosity and liquid courage, they sought to pierce the veil. The air grew heavy with anticipation. At first, the responses were slow, the planchette moving sluggishly. But as the night wore on, the planchette gained speed. The room grew colder, extinguishing candles. The entity was angry, vengeful, its words laced with hatred. Panic set in as the friends realized their mistake, unleashing a force they couldn't control. The room plunged into darkness, the scream swallowed by shadows. The Ouija board clattered to the floor. The entity remained, its rage amplified by fear. The whispers became screams, a chorus of tormented souls, forever bound to that Halloween night. As the witching hour passes and the veil between worlds begins to close, remember the stories you've heard tonight. The shadows hold secrets, and not all of them are content to remain hidden. The next time you find yourself walking alone on a dark night, listen closely. You might just hear the whispers of the dead, reaching out from beyond the grave. Happy Halloween. Ha, ha, ha.